Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Bytes. So today we'll be learning solid principle, second principle, which is open close principle. Now if you see in the solid, as we discussed in the previous call, a solid compromise of these five principles. So we already learned about single responsibility principle. Now we'll be learning open close principle. Now in a very high level or a nutshell, open close principle says any class or any interfaces, right, we have right in your object oriented programming, it should be open for extension to a children class or a subclass, and it should be closed for modification, such that down the line there is minimum impact if you do any changes. Okay, and it should be easily understand, because if you are modifying a single class over again and again, then that becoming very much complex over the time, right? So we need to avoid as much as possible to modify the existing class, but at the same time, because there are requirement coming in, right, to do certain kind of business logic or certain kind of things to be done on that programming, then that particular class should be open for extension, such that in the new subclass or the child class, when we are extend the parent class, then I can do whatever operations I try to do on that particular class. So this is all about open close principle. Now we'll be understanding with a code example and try to see how we can use open close principle in our object oriented programming, right? So let me start about writing one class called payment class. So this is a Java payment class. This class is responsible for taking the payment, right? So right now, let's say I have written like the public or let's say boolean. Okay, so I'm just writing the method signature. So let's say I have written, okay, so I have written one method inside this payment class, process payment, right? So what this process payment is doing, it will taking the amount and the account number, and it is executing the respective logic to process the payment. Let's say this amount needs to be added to this account, to this account, and confirming back to the customer saying that your payment is processed. Right now, instead of this payment, this is a generalized payment process. But actually, when if you see, there are multiple way you can do the payment, right? So let's say you can do a payment through an UPI, you can do a payment through your debit card, you can do your payment through a credit card, or you can use your net banking. Anything you can do, right? So now this payment process is like an abstract method, right? It's kind of an abstraction. So this is not going to work. I'm just changing to a proper execution logic. So instead of process payment, I am writing some proper method. Let's say process UPI payment. Okay. So what is doing? It is taking account, and at the same time it is taking UPI ID. One second. UPI ID. Now what happened? Depending on the UPI ID, is processing the payment. So tomorrow, so this is what my application right now is there. So tomorrow what happened? Like I want to kind of expand my payment class. Okay, I want to kind of extend my payment class to allow instead of UPI payment, I also wants to give a customer enhancing features, saying that customer can do a credit card payment, right? So if I write here public boolean process, what's a process card payment, let's say I make it like a card means credit, I just make it like a credit card payment. Okay, so here I will have same the amount, I have a card number, a CCV, and expiration date. So these are the things I needed to process this payment, and I have written here, I will write my respective payment processing logic over here to process the payment with this card, right? And I'll return the boolean true. If I'm not able to process, then I'll be returning boolean false. So now see, now when I have write these payment things right here, now you see one thing, this is kind of violates our open close principles, right? How it is violating. So it's a very basic things, right? So whenever a new payment methodology coming in, that time we have to modify this class. So that means actually I am modifying the class which violates my open close principle. Now, so let's say tomorrow there is another payment method, let's say net banking, I want to, or let's say debit card. Okay, so I'm just copying this credit card processing to debit card payment process. Same thing, I have to modify this one. So after some day I come to know there is a new payment method is coming in, or let's say there is a net banking I want to offer. So I can write this net banking. Okay. Now what here bank account number and IFSC code, by using that I will do the net banking payment. Now you see, every time a new payment methodology comes into the market or I want to avail to my customer, I need to modify this class. So this actually violates it. Now how to solve this one? How to solve this one? Then we need to think in a little bit different way. So instead of doing all those things, right? So instead of doing everything on the class, now I can now we can do one thing to kind of achieve this open close principle. Let's say I create a interface. Okay, I create a interface. Let's say I payment interface I have created. Okay, so now when I created this public interface I payment, okay, so let's say, okay, so this is my interface I have created, right? So the in the payment class, all the payment method I have written. Instead of that, what I'm doing, I create an interface, and if you see now, every time whatever you do, right, that is nothing but kind of doing the payment, right? It's nothing else, right? So all the method I have written, they are actually doing their payment processing, nothing else, right? So I create a interface. I create a interface, and I have defined a right, in the method I have defined boolean process payment, and I am passing the payment object. Okay. So now what I am doing here, I'm just writing here. Okay, this, let's say it's a pay object or payment info object. Okay. Okay, so now you can see. So here what I'm doing, I created an interface. Okay, in that interface I'm writing a method which is process payment, and there I'm providing the payment info as a Pujo class. Now what is a Pujo class? It's a plain Java object class. So I will write process payment info class here, pay info dot java class. Now in the payment info in Java class, I will write all the necessary payment object, right? So probably let's say this is my payment object. Okay. So yes, this is a amount of which method they want, or else I can remove this. Okay. So these are the basic things are needed if I want to do any kind of payment, right? So I have write a simple Pojo class over here. Okay, where I am just taking all the I'm taking all the payment related attribute as an attribute to this class. All the payment, these all are needed for the payment, what kind, any kind of payment you do, right? Now payment interface, I'm passing it and I'm doing the process payment. Now so let's say right now when I'm new to the application, I only allowed my UPI payment, right? So I will write UPI payment process dot java. So what happened here is like I implement here, I have implement 1 second, I will write it here. Here I have implement this I payment interfaces, right? I payment, I'm doing very simple things, right? So this is a UPI payment processing. Okay, so no need to check this one because here only UPI related things will happen. So no need to write any logic over here about to check which it's a UPI ID or not. No need to check. So what I'm doing here, this in this class, right? I'm implementing the payment process method, and I'm doing the UPI related logic over here. This is just to check that okay, that whatever object is passing through this payment, that is having a proper UPI ID or not. If it is having a UPI ID, then I'm processing the UPI payment. Now this is this is fine, right? So this iPayment method, this interface should be. So 1 second, I need to put a Java extension over here. So let me rename it. So now it's a Java class, right? Yes. So now what happened here is like here you can. Second, this is causing a problem. Okay. Now see. Now what happened? This iPayment method, iPayment interface is is actually closed for modifications, right? I'm not modifying anything. I am not modifying my UPI payment method, UPI payment process class. What I am doing, I am extending these interfaces to this processor class, right? Credit card process class. Now this iPayment can be an abstract class, can be an interface. So I have implemented using the interface. You can create an abstract class also, and you can kind of extend the class for the subsequent process. But ultimate guideline is that so that this iPayment interface or abstract class should be closed for modification and it's open for license, right? So tomorrow, if I want to implement net banking payment process class, I can easily extend that. I will just implement the inside process payment method. So this is how the open close principle work, and for that you will just create a client class, and in that client class you will do all the operations and kind of depending on your need that respective payment method you will just payment class instantiate, and you will call this process payment method and it will start working. So this is all about open close principle. Any questions, anything, you can write the question in my comment section. I will be happy to reply. Thanks for joining. Okay.